Good evening, and it's a slightly different sort of thing we got on tonight. It's not Sunday morning, is it? Is it Sunday morning, Beck?
I wish.
I mean, it's Thursday evening. We've stepped away from all the crap about like last night's game, and listen, we're just going to move on to Monday in terms of football. But we're on here tonight to explain a couple of things to you. Well, I'll tell you about something first. Well, I've already sort of mentioned it a few times in my podcasts, and I've put a couple of posts out there telling you that we've got a brand new website starting. Well, starting, it's already there, but it isn't completely built yet. Is it built yet, Beck?
No, it's still pending.
It's under
It's
construction.
all, yeah, that's the one under construction.
But it should sort of be ready. I was told by our guy that's building it, that's doing the construction work, that it will be ready probably by the end of this week. So who knows? It might be. We've put a lot of content into it. There's loads of stuff going on in it. There's like RSS feeds. There's updated scores and fixtures. There's all that stuff in it. There's Facebook Live. There's a few things we can do live on it. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do yet. Possibly my live podcast directly off the website. We've got a history section. We've got what else we got, Beck?
I think you've, I think you've
Come
collated
on.
it all.
We've
And there's
got
there's a
you know
few.
we'll have loads of stuff going on, but there's something else that we're going to put in there, and this is what we're here for tonight. I know some of you probably realize that I do a little bit of personal training, rehabilitation work, and stuff like that. My background is in exercise and rehabilitation, particularly like cardiac and stroke rehabilitation, but also general rehabilitation. And I have a fairly like good knowledge of anatomy, which I used to lecture at one time. So anatomy and physiology. So particularly like with in respect of health and fitness. So something I was having a little think about because in our gym recently, as you probably know, I take personal training sessions, and we got quite a few ladies in there. And I thought about a month or so. Month is it, Beck? Something like six, seven, eight
It's been,
weeks.
yeah, something like that.
Probably a couple of months. I thought, like in what we call in our gym, and most gyms have it, the testosterone zone, which is where all the blokes are, and the women like sort of fear to tread a little bit. They shouldn't, but a lot of women feel a bit intimidated by going into there. Number one, because there's loads of blokes in there. Number two, blokes tend to go up to women and go, "You all right, love? Do you know what you're doing with that?" Patronising tossers. And then the third part of it is that a lot of the time women don't know what to do in there because they're a bit scared to go in there. So I thought I'm going to take our girls in there. I'm going to show them how to use an Olympic bar. I'm going to show them how to deadlift, how to clean and press, how to squat properly. I'm going to show them how to use a squatting rack, all those things. And so I started doing it. Since then, we've got like quite a few empowered women at Quebec.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you've
no,
empowered a few.
yeah, I've empowered a few girls, but they don't need me to empower them. It's all there. All they need sometimes is a little bit of help and a little bit of, a little bit of guidance. And obviously, it's quite difficult just to go into a gym as anyone, to be honest, and just suddenly learn how to do deadlifting and squats and all stuff like that. But I thought instead of like, a lot of personal trainers get the women in there and they get them doing like bridges and, hip thrusts and stuff. Well, and I thought, no, let's go in there. Let's get them handling this 20K Olympic bar. Let's show them how to pick it up, how to use it, and how to make it work for them in terms of health, in terms of confidence, and also, like we all want to look better, and these sort of lifts can have a massive effect on the body and can also increase metabolic rate, which means that you burn more calories while you're doing nothing. So look at me now, burning calories, doing loads of that. And Beck, look at her, she's burning calories. You can't see, but she is. But she did like a mental workout on Sunday, I think it was. Sled pull and
Saturday.
squats and all sorts of things. And like, because like obviously Beck's in England, we're in Spain, our girls were going, oh my God, like, how did you do that? So, we can all do it. Blokes can do it, girls can do it. We're no different. We have a little bit of an anatomical difference. One of the biggest issues well, a couple of issues with women with lift is number one, you've got boobs and they tend to get in the way sometimes. And number two, you have a different Q angle. You know what the Q angle is, Beck?
Angle, I don't think I know
Right.
what that is.
Right. So the Q angle, when a bloke stands up, his femurs come straight down in a straight line. When a woman stands up, her femurs come slightly in. So when you do things like
Oh, is that what it's
deadlift,
called?
yeah. So when you do things like deadlifts and squats, there's a tendency for your knees to come in a little bit, So that's and something else that like women have to be aware of, because you have to be strong in your knees. Don't let that Q angle affect the way you lift. It does affect the way you lift. It doesn't allow you to compress as well as a man can, So there are just a few anatomical differences that make lifting a little bit more difficult for women, but they're all things that we can overcome. And we've managed to overcome them. I mean, we've got a girl, Leslie, who's doing like 70K deadlift. We've got Carrie who weighs 58K, who does a 52K deadlift, So, and they're all, they're like, come on. But the nice thing about girls, gents, is that they tend to encourage each other rather than like blokes who tend to want to compete all the time. So it is different, but are diverse. We're doing all this to have a bigger look at women's health in general. We're going to do it through the project. We're going to get involved with some of our Spanish girls. We're going to do some live podcasts. We're going to do some pre-recorded stuff. Beck is going to, you're researching, Beck, aren't you, and doing a lot from
Yeah,
your side?
yeah. Doing a lot of research just on the effects of hormones and stuff, and
Yeah, and
yeah,
the hormone difference is like a big thing, and like some of the things I mean, just some of the things that affect. Well, thank God I'm not a woman, honestly. I mean,
mm.
listen, I know what childbirth's like. I've had three kids, all right, but
Well, you haven't.
I was sort of watching it, really, watching it. So I'd like a video nasty, man. Honestly, I was like, Jesus. Whew. So, I know what you girls go through. You sort of know, I can imagine. But I have to tell
Mhm.
you this. I've had a ruptured Achilles, and I'm telling you now, it's more painful than childbirth. Well, it was for me.
Mm.
I don't know how for a woman, it probably, but from a man's angle, watching childbirth, the Achilles was worse, but only just. But actually having a child, my God, well, you haven't done it yet, have you? You got that thing, you got that to look forward to. God help you. Look, honestly, I don't want to frighten you, like, but wear a blindfold when you do it. Um,
Oh God.
so I mean, for women and for girls, like it all starts at school, doesn't it? I mean, you got daughters.
Mm.
I've got daughters. I know what it's like. They go to school straight away. Things are different for girls. They're treated differently. Probably not quite so bad now. And honestly, with all the gender stuff going on as well, I'd be confused myself. I honestly don't sort of understand a lot of that business. But I know how hard it must be for girls going through puberty at school and all that business and changing and stuff. And then you have stuff like contraception. That's a thing. That's a big thing, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Because it's not quite like it is for blokes, but for women, contraception is like what you have like you can have implants, you can have pills.
Yeah, there's all sorts of different contraceptives these days.
So what's the most
So
is there like an AI one yet? There must be. But
not
so what
yet.
is like the most common
Um, I would
form
I
of
would say
contraception?
the implant, but I'm noticing a lot more women are going towards having a coil fitted now.
Oh,
They're
Jesus.
going down that route.
I mean, I always associate coils with your car or something. I mean, honestly though, you know what I mean, guys. If there's any blokes watching this, I mean, who would want to have to go through what a woman goes through? Seriously. So, like, the contraception is another thing that is tends to be put onto women, isn't it?
Mm.
It's your responsibility. Instead of blokes taking a bit of responsibility themselves for it, you know, it's up to you, girls. And of course, it shouldn't be like that. So then you have after all that, and you forget to get your coil serviced, you become pregnant, and then you have pregnancy, don't you? And something else, and that completely changes.
Serviced.
Huh?
Nothing.
What did you say?
I was just repeating what you said about having a coil serviced.
I don't know what you have to do with them. Just leave them there, do you?
Well, you can have them removed and then put back. And
So you can see how clueless I am, with a lot of stuff.
but then
Physiology, I
people,
understand. Pardon?
women don't really tend to. It's not always because of they're sexually active. It's usually sometimes they'll have an implant or a coil fitted because of like endometriosis and stuff.
Mm.
So
Tell people
there's
what that is
there
because
there's that impact, or because they've got very heavy periods, so they just have it to try and balance hormones and stuff. So it's not all necessarily to do with being sexually active either.
see what I mean. Jesus. Imagine having to think about all that. Then you got to go to work and everything. Then you got to come home. Then you got to look after the kids. Guys, we got to give these girls a bit of a break. Then after your pregnancy and that, and you have the wonderful experience of childbirth. Guess what happens then? Postnatal depression.
Mm.
Really big issue. And these things are real. They're not, people tend to think things like depression and mental status and, aren't real. And of course they are. And there's a massive hormone change in women's bodies uh, post birth. Everything's upside down. It's like a very, very difficult time for women, and that's another time when they go through issues. That luckily we don't have to go through. And then, like when you get over that and you've got your kids, then you have, I mean, there's a lot of single mums, aren't there? So you have things like childcare that you have to think of. So, you might be a single breadwinner, you have to go to work, and then you have to find childcare. Childcare is expensive. Is it still,
Mm.
do they still do like freebies? I don't know. You probably don't know too much about this,
Not
but
not that I'm aware of. All my colleagues, they all pay childcare,
yeah. So
unless
child,
it's obviously a relative taking care of them. Then obviously it's free then. But
yeah, but the other issue with that then is like, there might be, so what if you're a mom and you want to, you know, look look after your kids yourself, take them to school, pick them up and bring. So then really you can't work, can you? You might be able to do a few part-time hours and that, but then you have to either sort of choose career or motherhood, don't you? And it isn't
mm,
really a easy choice, is it?
it's difficult to balance the two. It's doable. A lot of women do do it, but yeah, the balance is difficult, especially in today's economy as well, when the household, the cost of living and everything. It's like nowadays you need two household incomes to run one house. So
Well, no, it's
yeah,
it's just like it's a bit scary when you think about it. And then you got things like, 'cause I can remember this. Do you breastfeed or you get SMA or whatever it's called? Like you can get milk in
yeah,
a
formula, yeah.
formula or draft if you want, breastfeed. And obviously, then breastfeeding's a big issue. And, I mean, it's all right thinking, well, I want to breastfeed. I want to give my child like natural food. and of course it isn't easy. I mean,
Mm.
and I know
Mastitis.
it's supposed to be accepted, and you can breastfeed wherever you want, and you get some and you put it over the kid's head, and it has a little bit
Um,
of food.
two of my colleagues, one of them had mastitis, so couldn't obviously breastfeed. And then my other colleague, because she had a cesarean, she didn't have milk until a little bit later. But then she was really ill in hospital. So it was had no choice but to bottle feed really for her.
Yeah,
So it's not always
and of course,
easy.
if you're a single parent, you do want to go to work, then your kid ain't going to get breastfed, is it?
Mm. Well, you've got these pumps now that you can, yeah,
See
you
what
can
I
pump.
mean? What do you mean you got pumps?
Uh,
Where?
so you can just pump breast milk.
Oh, fabulous.
Um, but yeah, it's always not always an
How hard is
option.
it for a woman, seriously? And the other thing is, I forgot to mention, just because you just mentioned it, I just remembered. Are you too posh to push? Do you have a cesarean? I don't know, I was being a little bit facetious there, not by choice, but you may have to have a cesarean,
Mm.
and then you have things like your abdominal muscles are cut, post birth as well. Your abdominal wall is affected. It's just an absolute nightmare, and you can't
Mm.
exercise for, I think it's 6 weeks after a normal birth, or 12 weeks after cesarean. This all affects again hormones, and you getting back to normal, because your body changes shape. There's a lot of things going on when you have a child, and then a lot of things sort of returning to normal afterwards. And then have you got time to exercise, and and things like budget come into it. Can you afford to eat properly? Can you afford, it's an absolute minefield, that sort of thing is. And then after all that, and you go through all that, and then, like, guess what? You're going to get the menopause, aren't you?
Mm.
And like,
Yeah.
I've got to tell you something, right? All of my PT clients, I've got one male PT client. You know that?
Oh, really?
Honestly, I haven't. And one of the reasons is because it's so much nicer working with women. I just love working with women in terms of, what I do. It really is a nice thing for me to be able to. I don't want to bore you with the whole way I think about this, but blokes are a completely different animal to women, and as a PT, I'm quite often, I'm a different PT to most PTs. I tend to look at things anatomically, from a health point of view as well. And also, we all want to look nice as well, but then you have to be realistic. Once you
Mm.
pass a certain age, you're never going to be 18 again. The elasticity of the skin changes, your body shape changes. Women get, perimenopausal, menopause. Then menopause can go on for years. If you have a hysterectomy, it comes on earlier. Your body completely is messed up again, and then you have the opportunity, because once you go through the menopause, you lose estrogen. So, girls, the bad news is when you lose estrogen, that several things happen. I mean, you're more likely, for instance, to have be like us blokes and get heart attacks at an earlier age, things like that. Your bone density changes because, well, go on too much about the technicalities of it, but when you lose estrogen, you lose something called osteoblasts, which build bone. So as you grow, as you go through life, your bone doesn't, you haven't got the same bone today as you had when you was a child. It changes all the time. So osteoblasts, you have osteoclasts, which remove old bone. So when you have dead bone, these osteoclasts remove it. Osteoblasts come in and they replace the removed bone. So the bone always stays pretty much the same sort of density. But when you lose estrogen, the osteoblast activity slows right down or almost ceases, but the osteoclast continues at the same pace. So you get the bone builders not building so much, and you get the greedy osteoclast taking the bone away at the same pace as it always has. So you get a less dense bone, more of a porous bone. So you can imagine like a sponge, sort of like that. So what we need to do is try and get estrogen back in somehow, and to help this sort of anti-osteoporosis action that is happening. So one way is to hormone replacement treatment, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Hormone replacement therapy. Yeah.
yeah, it's HRT. So I mean, blokes have that as well. HRT, by the way, in case you didn't know, you can get testosterone replacement therapy. Some blokes are on it. You get a bit of low testosterone count. You can have testosterone. It makes you feel better. Makes you makes you a bit more manly than you were. It's sort of it's a downward slope. As time goes on. But for women, it is really, an important thing that we watch things like osteoporosis. And I know, like with that hormone replacement treatment, there was some worry about it causing breast cancer. And I think that's sort of been, I'm not going to say it's been dismissed, but I don't think it's as big a threat as people initially thought it was. But in terms of osteoporosis, then we know that exercise, particularly weight bearing exercise, has a positive effect on it, because end to end bone compression increases osteoblast activity. So basically, brings back the bone builders. So end to end compression, getting them to do some really heavy squats, right? That sort of thing. So you start putting end to end bone compression into a lady who is postmenopausal, not estrogen, but these the osteoblast activity can return to the point where the bone density increases. So in the UK, it's not so much in Spain, but in the UK, women are quite often only given a bone density test when they first break a bone. So, it's sort of, bolting the stable door when the horse has gone, isn't it?
Mm.
So we're going to give you a bone density test. Okay, when we're going to do it, well, break a bone, and then we'll check out how likely you are to break a bone. I mean, but it's all about cost. So the best way to cope with that is obviously to take preventative medicine yourself, i.e., weight bearing exercise. So there's something. Also, think it also improves things like breathing, and it helps heart health. So the left ventricle of the heart, when we do cardiovascular exercise, grows. So we get something called cardiac hypertrophy and left ventricular hypertrophy. So the left side of the heart grows. The bigger it gets, every time it pumps, it sends out a bigger volume of blood. We feel fantastic. But it helps to slow down your resting heart rate. It helps your circulation, your tidal flow when you breathe is better when you do CV exercise. It helps you to breathe better. It helps you to feel better as well. You get a feel good factor, don't you, Beck? When you
Yeah.
exercise, you come
Oh,
out of it
yeah.
sort of, you know, elevated, aren't you? I go into work some mornings, I'm like blues lost
Mm.
last night. I had to put my tin hat on and go and face all them idiots. Oh, Jesus. And I get into work. First thing, two things I do every day. Number one, I take a spin class. Number two, I take a pump class. And then from then on, I have personal training clients, right? So my day is pretty good in terms of exercise. So when I've finished it, I'm like, yeah, I'm dead happy, I'll come home and I'll sit down and I'll put the phone on, and then they're all there again. The whole cycle starts again, you know what I mean? So exercise is beneficial for everyone, but you know what? For girls, I think it's absolutely fantastic, and all the way through those things that we've just spoken, those horrible hurdles that women have to overcome. You know, a lot of them aren't really, their own fault because really, we could do a little bit more, couldn't we, as blokes? We could try and, but then again, you could say, well, you know what, you just said all that, Steve. I'm a bloke. I didn't even realise that was all happening. But now you do. So when we do these podcasts and these little, sometimes they might be like even lecturish if you want. We can have some of you on, come and talk to us live and we record it, or we can do it, we can either record it or we can actually go out live and do it and let people join in via messages and stuff. Um, it's something that can help all of us. It can help your marriages, relationships. It can help us blokes understand you girls a little bit better. Can also probably like help you girls to realise how thick we are and how much we don't understand it. You probably know that already, but we're just going to point it out to blokes that they need to listen a little bit more and take a little bit more advantage of the women in their lives. When I say that, I mean your mums, your girlfriends, your wives, your daughters. We're in it. We're all in it together, aren't we? And you can see at the back of me here, National Lottery Community Fund. This thing that we're doing, this program that we're doing, is called In This Together, and this is a part of it. We're in this together, as blokes and women. It's life, isn't it? And our life expectancy is really important, but it isn't just that. You don't want to be there for 100 years if it's 100 years of misery. Let's make it as let's make it as enjoyable and as stress-free as we possibly can. Try and understand each other. And like I just said, try and understand girls. We've got a lot of girls that are blues fans, lots and lots. And we're very proud of the fact that in our group, they involve themselves quite a lot. We have some of our best content is written by girls. There's one there, look. So Beck, watch content about the girls team, and look what the girls are achieving at the moment. They're in the last eight of the FA Cup, playing Man City at St Andrews, and then we've got the possibility of being in the WSL next season, which would be absolutely fantastic. So we have that positivity for the ladies, but the ladies also want to be involved in the men's football, and some of our girls, like Beck, like Emily, who write some great content, like Emma, you know, they understand the game and they want to be involved in it too. And we have to accept it as blokes. So unfortunately, for a lot of you that tend to be a little bit dinosaurish, you've got to move over and understand that people like Karen Brady are legends within our club, the same as Trevor Francis was. And before someone goes, you can't say that, same as Trevor Francis. Not the same as Trevor Francis, obviously, because when Karen was at the top of her game playing for the Blues, the, the the focus wasn't on ladies football. It isn't really on it now. But the point I'm making is that Karen is a legendary figure for Blues, and she promotes us, and and we have to sort of put something back into the ladies' game as men if we can help them a little bit. And we're all in it together, aren't we? Like as I just said, in this together. And I'm looking forward to these things, Beck, And I mean, I'm not going to be leading them. I'm a bloke. I can't be leading stuff about women's health. And I'm going to have a big input into it because, I do understand about, promoting health. But we have to ask ladies what's going on sometimes, don't we, Beck?
Yeah, definitely. And I think communication is going to be important as well. Communication, education, just getting everyone involved. I think the more that men understand what's going on in with women, what stage of life they're at, whether they're hitting puberty, um, menopause, or they're in that childbearing age. I think the more education and the more that they know, I think it can help heterosexual relationships
Yeah,
because
definitely.
it's sad, but obviously divorce rate is increasing, not just
Mhm.
across the UK but worldwide. And I read an article somewhere about it's at a higher rate when women are in that menopausal
Mhm.
stage. So it's interesting,
It
I
is,
think.
and the other thing, something I did forget to mention, and I'm sorry, don't want to go on about this for too long. Is the other thing is that like women tend to live longer than blokes. So quite
Mm.
often, you can be in a 30, 40, 50-year marriage and suddenly you find yourself on your own, you're widowed. And several things can arise from that. I mean, number one, you're going to be living on your own for the first time, probably for 40, 50 years or something. Number two, are you financially sound? Can you afford to live? Number three, have you got somewhere to live? Lots and lots of things like this occur that we never see. And we don't see it because we don't think about it. And I think for women to understand and consider that as well, that we are likely to die before you. And often men are older than their wives. So you could have a husband who's like 70 and you could be 60. Your life expectancy is longer anyway. And if he's got to 70, he's done all right. But if he suddenly dies, you've probably got 20 years on your own. How are you going to
Mm.
cope with that? Those sort of things are something to consider as well. Um,
Mm.
I'm not overlooking men, by the way. I mean, we have our own issues. Jesus, we do. But, we do a lot in terms of helping men's mental health and, the suicide to risk to many is high and stuff. But we cover that within our group anyway. And, but we want to do something now and try and put something out there for the girls whatever age you are, you can always come to us. If you have any issues, you can approach us, no problem at all. You don't have to get hold of us. You can contact us through Facebook, you can go into the group, whatever. And on the website, there's going to be stuff on the website. So this really was a little bit of an introduction this evening to sort of let you know what's going to go on. It would be interesting to get your views on it. This is going to go into the group. We're actually recording this on Thursday evening. Um, so Beck and I are doing this tonight. There's no game on Saturday, so I think we're going to probably put it out into the group on Saturday, and we'll also put it into YouTube as well, so you can see it in YouTube and you can see it in the group. Um, and let us know what you think. Come and tell us. Be honest with us. If you think it's shouldn't have a bloke involved in it. That's fair enough. I don't mind. If you think or whatever, whatever your views are, come tell us because we want to get involved. We want to get you involved with it, and I think we need to, just have a different look at the way things are and see if we can change things a little bit ourselves. We've got a lot of people. We have like 2 million people a month coming into our group. We have a combined membership of 63,000. So, there's a lot of people involved, and we want to reach out to you and get you involved in more of the community stuff than just football. The football's a massive part of what we do, but the community really is more important, really, isn't it?
Mm,
Isn't it?
definitely.
Your turn to
Yeah.
talk. All right. So I wanted to thank you for listening to us for the last I don't know how long it is actually. It's probably been ages. I didn't even realise. But
It's been about half an hour.
oh, is that all it is? So it's not too bad. We haven't bored you too much. But I want to thank you for listening to us, and hopefully you can give us a little bit of support in what we do. We'll let you know when the new website's up and running. We may well start this before the website comes up. It depends how long the construction goes on. It seems like I haven't even sorted my emails out yet. We've got fancy new email addresses, and but I'm going to do it over the weekend. I've got some time this weekend. There's no football on. Um, Probably not going to go out and get paralytic or anything this weekend. I never
You
do.
sure?
No, I'm absolutely certain. Um, so, Beck, thanks for coming on. And I know like Beck's had to just rush from. I've just been and had a bit of a tattoo, a bit additional tattoo. I don't know if you can see it down here. So I've literally come back from that. Becca's literally just walked through the door from work, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So thanks for coming and having a chat with us, Beck, and giving us
That's
your
all right.
opinions. Yeah, listen, we know how important you are in the group. You're often overlooked, but you've been with me from the very start, and you've always had my back. You're a PA as well, aren't you? Look at
Try
her.
to be.
She's brilliant. She is, and like the group wouldn't be what it is without Beck. So we're in it all together, aren't we? So once again, thanks so much for watching us, Beck. Thank you, and
No worries.
well, give him a little wave.
See you later, guys. Keep right on.
Thank you. Cheers.